So we got this hot off the press. Go ahead and cover this topic that was presented to me. They want me to teach on it. And I'm going to go ahead and just drop a little bit of science on it for just a couple of minutes. So you got time, and then you have the clock. Big difference. Look it up. Get you a dictionary. Time, a unit of measurement. It's a measuring. Time is similar to a ruler. So this is something that you use to measure even distance with. With time, you measuring a distance with time. And you may think to yourself, well, it's the same thing with a clock. Because it's, you're looking at the time. Like you say, someone asks you, well, what time is it? And you look at a clock. If someone asks you what time is it, you don't go look for time. You go look for a clock. Big difference. Big difference, because a clock deals with the whole set. A set of measurements or set of tools used to count, which is a big difference. Not necessarily to measure distance. Not necessarily. See, when you deal with time, you say, I'm in Athens, Georgia. I want to know how long does it take for me to get from Athens, Georgia to California. Time. You may look at the clock throughout this point to see what time it is, but essentially, you're trying to measure how long it's going to take you to get somewhere, so you're looking at time. This is important when you talk about ritual, and I'm going to talk about that and shut down in a second. Whereas with a clock, this deals with what? First and foremost, it's a circle. So when you say, what time is it? You can't really go and find a picture. I mean, you can, and you could depict time. Of course, you can depict a set of numbers. I mean, 5:20, 4:30, 4:38. See what I'm saying? You can depict that. But when it comes to a clock, you go point it out. Oh, there's the clock, or a watch. Which is kind of the difference. I'm going to go into that too in a future episode, the difference between a clock and a watch. Because a watch deals with, see, they got that from, well, the Marines got that from studying up under the Moors, believe it or not. And the Moors studied up under the Welsh Society and learned about the watch, which is a different scenario. But you have the clock, and I'm going to shut down after saying this. It's very important. It's a circle with a dot in the center. What the fuck does that mean? That's dealing with a glyph, dealing with the sun, believe it or not. And the clock is a sundial. And that's what it is. So the clock is very different from time. And that's why when I talk about everybody's credit or everyone's credit, I'm essentially dealing with time, not necessarily the clock. The reason why I'm able to visa and talk about everyone's credit is because of the fact that I visit the clock and I understand it. And you're dealing with intervals of seconds and minutes and hours. You're dealing with three parts when you deal with the clock. And we'll go into that. And there's 60 seconds in a minute, of course, and you know this. And then there's 60 minutes in an hour, so you're dealing with sixes when you're measuring. When you're looking at the clock, going into one. So a 6 turns into a minute or interval or instance dealing with the clock. So when you do ritual, I'm going to say this is shut down, and this is why we're having a lot of trouble understanding this planet. You have to understand the clock and where it started at, what point did it start counting? Because that's very important for you to be able to, again, then go into measuring time, which will get you into your ritual, which will eventually get you a shitload of credit, which hopefully one day you can turn into money. Big difference between credit and money. I tell people I'm very rich. I have a lot of credit, I really do. But I don't have a lot of money. And they say, well, you're not rich because you don't have any money. But I'm rich because I got a lot of credit. Credit is overstanding time and everyone's credit and being able to overstand and make a circle or take out an allotment like a land lot and begin to work that in your spell and in your magic. So hopefully that answers your question. Live from T-Mobile. Someone sent me this from the company T-Mobile, believe it or not. So thank you for listening. Stay vigilant. We'll be coming back with more.